The Suppliants, translated by F.L. Light, written by Aeschylus, narrated by Beth Bostick. Enter a troop of maidens, lately disembarked onto the shores of Argos, from Egypt fled. Chorus. O Zeus, protection, nearest suppliant stand. O ward our flock in wariest zeal. We came on board at Egypt's headland, where the Nile has laid his silt. A sacred land we fled, not on the marches nearest Syria waiting. No civic banishment with votes concerning bloodshed was pronounced to us, who have in fugitive career gone forth, shunning espousals execrable perceived with the Aegyptus brood, that semblant family of impious sons. Our sire, Danaus, no mean director, all our plans devised, at last deciding in the sea-tide for removal, the least reproachful way to run from Baal, athwart the mere to Argos, where he moored, a land ancestral to our kind. The cow indeed was Argive, whom the botfly bit. By gentlest rapture, with a touch from God, the procreation was commenced, our race beginning from that cow. But of all lands, what blither, liefer, or more blessed than this, for suppliants with their branches wrapped in wool? O city, listen, countenance, O land, and the white tide of life, and you aloft, immortals of light, and you below, as vengeable as filth, of tombs possessed, and you, in right the third, Zeus, Saviour, nearest guard in homes of godly men, receive as supplicants this rope of women, on them breathful Ruth drawing from Argos. But ere they alight upon this silted loam, the brethren ruck of Egypt born, a reckless brigand rout, may trackless retrogression cast them far into the sea, with their prompt hull in strained default. The highest tempest may they meet of brothful rain, and leaven in reverb, adversities resounding visited on them. Thus let them die in tidal winds of Neptune's tremor, ere these cousins be possessed of us in couched unholiness. And now, accord invoking, be our voices grown in faith. We cry the calf of Zeus for succor or revenge, that was long since hard by the Nile engendered with the breath of God, a procreation called the touch. Our grazing ancestor, on flower leas ecloyed, this child brought forth. The fittest eponym, Epaphos, was at birth conferred, the touch confirming. Orison assuredly now should be heard, to him appealing in this tract, where our eld mother richly grazed. Her ancient griefs recounting, those of wrack, I'd see this town amazed. Decisive attestation I'll present, though unforeseen in full. Some few may follow knowledge in astonishment, not trust withholding from the true. If hereabouts an argourer, acutely sure of birds, should hear my begging, Metis, he will think, that wretched wife of Tyrrhus near must be, a signal nightingale exposed to an invasive hawk. She must, forbidden from her likely haunts of verdure, mourn the child she lost, for by her shending hand his blood was shed, maternal murder by her fact. To shrewdest motherhood the fledgling fell, not left to fly. No less in maudlin wise I wish to moan by the Ionian mode, exclaiming music, as my cheeks, scorched well by Nile, I'd scathe. They never flowed with runs of brine before we fled. Our hearts, unwont to hardship, wan in tears, and luctual flowers culling, afar with aliens left alone, We look about unsure, in prayer for guardian Argives, whether ours of kin will care for us, our flight commending from a land where showers of dust at length diffuse. But now, you gods, familiar to my kin, attend us, take in countenance our plea, if justice be no sin. Concede no consummation now to puerile men, perverse in mind, all out of measure in demand. Meticulous distaste, not blind to violence, nuptials made in peace allows. How wooed soever, war may be. There is an altar free from Ares, never heretofore assailed, in reverence to the gods reserved. O grant us an innocuous grace, Lord Zeus. From intricated odds your will unfolds with no perspicuous trace. It flares in every range of sight, even in darkness, as indicative obscurities show fortune in the light of God to mortals, who thereby may live. Never supinely scathed, what falls from Zeus comes soundly, governed by his head, for like entangled windings densely wound, the ways of his volition overspread, covered impenetrably to conceits of men. Be fortresses in heights of furthest hope, the mortals thence precipitate when he incites perdition, never at a strain, not violence needing in effect. For their procurements without pain or travel may the gods direct, on purpose right. His notions come about as consummate as being, forth soon, perforce fulfilled, in some perfected, with the fates agreeing, while from his steaded throne, which has incessant consecration, Zeus continues unbeknown to cause all human multiplicities in use. Life a voracious outrage he observes, noting its latest pullulation, as it longs for us in marriage like a bud that swells, our bane, alas, which burgeons on the firmest tree, with errors of concupiscence aroused, upon intent awry, whose spur is hourly more intense. Infatuated physicality they bear in overfatuous use of force. Such sores a virgin should lament, such be with howling to educe my tears. The shrillest of my breath, or deepest from the breast, my dirge should be. Ea, Eala, lament holds forth and groans may urge. How might I honor keep, unless by lamentation I preoccupy your grace? O Apia Downs, I must to you in serious obsecration cry, for well my distant idiom, you in Greece, my refuge land, conceive. My veil, Sidonian, flaxen, sundered much, suggests the sorrows I bewail. When hopes befall and all goes well, then offerings to the gods are freely brought where death remains apart. But here is teen abstruse in term beyond sagacious thought. And whither is this wave determined? Here or further? Am I destined to abide an endless drift? O Apia Downs, I must to you in serious obsecration cry, for well my distant idiom, you in Greece, my refuge land, conceive. My veil, Sidonian, flaxen sundered much, suggests the sorrows I bewail. Oars in broad sequence and success, with sails of open linen sped our prow, not run by storms to wrack as wind betook us. No complaint thereof I vow, but with omniscient perspicacity may Zeus the Father bring to fine a kindly consequence. We, the deep spore of consecrated Io, divine in Egypt, would elude concupiscent coition, left unmastered by a man, not lorded in our beds. And may the daughter entity of Zeus, in corporal celibacy purest known, now bend as we are bent, for she that makes the wall secure, whom Zeus exalts unmarried in virginity august, may look on virgins, hers in virtue, and deliver modesty from men. For we, the deep spore of consecrated Io, the cow in Egypt, would elude concupiscent coition, left unmastered by a man, not lorded in our beds. But if perforce she means no furtherance in scope or plan for us, then we, integuments, tenebrious, of darker genes, sun-roasted, shall with osiers meant for supplication plunge as far as Zeus abysmal in descent, the god most kind where aliens are, for liefer by the noose we'd leave this world, if now Olympians hear us not. Ah, Zeus, the odium meant for Io, now the immortals may in prejudicial use with vengeance prove. Your wife, I know, would tyrannies display in firmamental draughts, on the dread main a drum of storms inducing as she prompts ill winds. Might Zeus then be accused, a god not thinking justice, hear his progeny, the heifer's son, to carnal prejudice subjecting, whom seminally long since in love he sired, long since his own? And now he turns in facial loathing from our prayer, by lofty penetration over earth and mortals he should hear us call. Ah, Zeus! The holiest odium meant for Io, now your espoused immortal may in prejudicial use with vengeance prove. Your wife, I know, would tyrannies display in firmamental draughts on the dread main, a drum of storms inducing, as she prompts ill winds, intent that tempests may obtain. Danaus. The clearest prudence, children, comprehend. As captain, tidal foresight in our course at sea, your constant father far in years has had. Now, with purveyance, having viewed this land, I tell you, by my precepts reck, with clear inscription take them in your brains, on guard to keep my word. But look, the air is sandy, the mute herald of a host that pother is. And now unmuted hubs where axles bear them may not be remote. I see men bearing shields and spears in rank, with courser teams and curvilineal cars. The nearest sovereigns of the land, belike they are, now come to look on us, forewarned by messengers. But whether harmless be their wills, or hardest wrath be whetted in array, you should, my daughters, in this precinct sit, a down of pantheonic designation. I've seen how firmer in repulse than towers are altars of the gods, infrangible against infraction. Now, in godly haste, take in your left hands white wreaths wound on boughs which suppliants hold, Lord Zeus beneficent thereby respecting. To these strangers all your answers in appealing humbleness and meek petition of a need should be addressed, in right decorum done by immigrants. Relate your flight to them, no bloodshed in escape attesting. Let human audaciousness above all not come forth in suppliant plaints. Your faces should in deferential countenance with eyes of tranquil meekness nothing vain reveal. And in your speech no forward fretfulness or irresponsive renitence convey. This nation shrewdly takes offense thereat. Remember, in submissive peace remain. As outer fugitives in neediest trouble, no valor would become you word for word. To overween in weakness is absurd. Chorus. Your prudence, father, will our own approve. Defensibly held dear, your precepts shall, for soundest likelihood, be memorized. May Zeus, ancestral to our kind, in ken of us, his countenance not hide from kin. Danaus. In his propitious sight may you be seen. Chorus. Father, anon beside you I would sit. Danaus. Demur not, but contrive it with dispatch. Chorus. O Zeus, our miseries check, in mercy work, or by the worst our evil weird will fall. Danaus. The best to fine is brought if Zeus be fain. Chorus. His nearest countenance befits our cause. Danaus. The clawed fowl of Zeus now in prayer invoke. Chorus. No less the Saviour Helios we accite. Danaus. No less Apollon Mascales in power, who, though a god, was cast from his Olympian bower. Chorus. Our lot perceiving, love he may avow. Danaus. His near compassion in our need may come, upon defensive mercy furthersome. Chorus. Whom else, invoking gods, should I address? Danaus. I see this trident, ensign of a god. Chorus. His welcome in this tract may be as fair as his conveying us so far with care. Danaus. Hermes, Hellenically set forth, is here. Chorus. Then sunny tidings may he bring the free. Danaus. About this common altar all the gods revere. Within this sacred range sit close, like pigeons huddled, those of predators afeard, aware how kin of winged kind and kindred fowl of cognate plumage are their foes. Indeed, defilers that assail affiliated birds, phyletic born. If flocks are bitten by their kin, may this be clean? If grudging virgins they would grieve with marriage, even grudged by me, may this be clean? Where Hades stands above the dead, no haven would they have. With odium damned, atrocious deemed, for sin dispatched. There is, men say, another Zeus in Hadesdom, for the effete deceased, who final judgment makes upon their delicts. See your way, therefore, with suited answers, that your case may be preferred and in triumphant favour pass. Enter King of Argos, with armed attendants. King. From what commencement is this throng derived? Here pranked in these unknown habiliments of unhellenic lands, who meekly flaunt barbaric weeds of junctured cotton. For no Argive women, none of Hellas, be assured, like this are wrapped. How durst you come impavidly together, bounden hither to this land, in way unheralded, in want unguided, native furtherance denied? This draws my wonder to extremes. And yet, the ritual boughs which suppliants bear you've set beside you near our ring of gods. This only Hellenes may, at least, conjecture in accord. Therefore, about your coming, heavy queries might be made, or guesses likely just, if here your voice were not instructive at this time. Chorus. About our maiden raiment not awry you spoke. Yet in response, addressing you, should I a private man salute, or greet the city speaker, him with hallowed staff, or to the ruler vouch for my regard? King. Assure yourself for that in your replies. For I am son to Lord Palaechthon, whom the earth in generation made a man. Chieftain Pelasgus of this land I am, and the Pelasgians, named for me, pursue the fertile tillage of our prosperous fruits, wherever Strimon's cleanly stream is turned before the western bourne of Helios. Power I have. In my peripheries the whole Paraboi province lies, and tracts beyond the Pindus, nearest the Paeonians, and in demarcations the Dodonan massif is mine. No bounds until the sea define my realm. Thus much I lord it over earth. The Apian land herself about us lies, which for a surgeon long ago a leech of blessed notability was named. Out of Naupactus on the other shore, the seer of herbs, whom sire Apollo bred, Apis the doctor of tuition came. And of the bestial wonders wont to bite all men, his riddance was the best. These beasts, in toxic colonies of serpentine physiques, of sordid pestilence, extreme diseases bringing, were engendered on the earth, where olid blood of ancient faults, atrocious long ago, defiled the land. Apis then prosecuted cures with spells and surgeries, sufficing the content of Argives, whom memorial recompense to him is in important litanies renewed. Thus much for me. Now let us know what track your lineage has, and what pertains to truth about you. But loquacity forbear, as long relations are not relished here. Chorus. In summary plainness may our tale be brief. Our blood is Argive, we believe, derived in kinship from a cow, one meant to bear the selliest born. The truth thereof will wax in my account, accredited when grown. King. To hear this hardly credulous I am, O strangers, that your race akin to ours in Argive honour you can prove. More like to nubile Libyans are your lineaments, and in no manner wise the native face reveal. To nourish such a breed the Nile in procreation would be fit, or to configured Cyprians, sired and stamped upon the female mould in artificial effigies, by males of craft your semblance I'd compare. And women of nomadic consonance and norm, who mount the pillioned camel, near the Ethiopians dwelling, as I've heard, resemble you. And makeless Amazons, on meat sustained, I should have thought you, if a bow and quiver on your backs you had. But that I lightlier grasp your Argive spring, instruct me how your ancestry has sprung. Chorus. Of Io, is it not said in Argos, she of Hera's temple was the warden once? King. That Bruit soothright prevails, she was indeed. Chorus. That Zeus a mortal bedded, is the tale not told? King. The story is that Congress was descried by Hera, who'd no hidden fault abide. Chorus. How was this broil of royalty brought to fine? King. Into a cow the woman changed, a curse from Hera, the Argian deity. Chorus. Was not this cow of horns by Zeus accosted? King. A bullish semblance in lust for her, they say he was, becoming lustier. Chorus. What answer by his sturdy spouse was made? King. A guardian perspicacious near the cow she placed, who'd more coition not allow. Chorus. Who was this guard of total perspicacity? A herd allowed one heifer to his care. King. Argos, of earth a child whom Hermes killed. Chorus. What else was cast upon the baited cow? King. A goad to bavish cows, their bovine grief. Chorus. Nilotics call it botfly where it bites. King. Upon the longest trace it drove her from this land. Chorus. Thus vouches for my own your verity. King. To Memphis and Canobus then she came. Chorus. And with his procreant hand in Egypt, on the cow, then Zeus Ephapter got a son. King. By right pretension, who's the calf of Zeus? Chorus. For laying on of hands, he's named Epaphos. King. Whom did Epaphos generate in kind? Chorus. Libya, the broadest acreage on earth, bringing in harvests of the surest worth. King. What generation came of Libya? Chorus. She was delivered of Agenor first. King. Who was engendered by Agenor's urge? Chorus. Belos, my father's parent, had 2 sons. King. His fully prudent name I fain would know. Chorus. Danaus and his brother 50 sons begot. King. Not words begrudging, now his name pronounce. Chorus. Aegyptos. Thus my oldest lineage you know. And now for Argives in sorority, I pray you upward furtherance provide. King. It seems an ancient share in Argos you have shown. But how in boldness could you quit your father's home? What fortune swept you forth? Chorus. O King, Pelasgians your regime, you know mischance makes shift in many shapes, nowhere immutable, and the self-wing is never seen when trouble comes again. For none foresaw how this unpresaged exodus would speed a kindred stock of ancient consanguinity to Argos in fugacious detestation of matrimonial bondage and constraint. King. To these convened immortals here, why have you supplication made with branches newly snapped, wound white with wreaths? Chorus. To the Aegyptos brood, as a caught thrall, I never would belong. King. For loathing them, or by a law of faith? Chorus. Who would their lovers buy from kindred born? King. Aggrandizement of families comes thereby. Chorus. Yet wives are put away when fortune goes awry. King. How should my reverent sufferance be shown to you? Chorus. Not leaving us to their demand is pious. King. But yours is ponderous, new wars provoking. Chorus. But justice shields her partisans from shock. King. If from commencement she partakes the case. Chorus. Show godly sufferance to the ship of state, here represented by the wreathed gods. King. I shudder back to see them shaded with your bows. Chorus. The suppliant's deity, Zeus, grave wrath avows. Pelasgos' lord, Palechthian's lad, your heart be lief to hearken and believe. Observe how obsecration I begin, lest gadding fugitives forever grieve. You see a heifer from a hunt of wolves apace escaping on a precipice. Who for a saviour bellows, sure her herd will help in hardship, not demur amiss. King. I see the gods in consort and accord, nodding in gree beneath the umbrage where you laid the boughs. What guested claimant's wish should never scathe this city, and no broil within this burg should now commence upon unaugured or incogitated grounds. No whit this nation stands in need thereof. Chorus. May justice, nearest supplicants a goddess, born to Zeus, the Lord allotting doles, not let mischance on Argos with our flight accord. But you, sagacious verity, in age confirming, by a greener mind may learn new lore. The newest be in concord with the gods, to suppliants kind. King. Not at my hearth you sit, but if a taint be commonly diffused in Argos, then the people would in common need to purge. With all the burgship I must weigh your bead, ere vows may be professed of any deed. Chorus. The burg you are, in power the lives you are, that live here. Lone, unjudged a lord, your reign one vote requires, all shrines and altars to dispose. Your throne is reared by sovereign right, all puissance in your sceptre is possessed, all judgments you conclude, and now, admonishing yourself, pollution fear. King. Polluted adversaries I'd prefer, and yet I'd suffer much in suffrages for you. But wisdom palls unless such prayers be answered. Vacillation like a shoal of ebb and flow exagitates my soul, whose apprehension is inflicting pangs, in fear to act or not to act, or take perforce what fate embodies for my sake. Chorus. Observe the aerial watcher at the culm of gods, upon the culminated air of heaven, called the Father Sentinel of sufferance in mortals, suppliant mortals, who've besought their neighbours, but no word of justice, none by right obtain. Indeed, those loathing supplication, loathsome regard from Zeus will have, as men unmelted into merciful respect. King. But if the household sons Aegyptus bred have by the law of Egypt lineal rule of you by claim of nearest blood, who would on contradiction be intent, you must by your domestic laws make good the plea their claims are lawless in authority. Chorus. Never, assure you, subject and subjoined to mastery by them I'd be. Beneath the stars in zealous flight and resolute escape afar I'd go, this miscreant marriage not enduring. Justice your ally perceive, taking her counsel in this reverend cause, wherein the gods acknowledge rightful laws. King. The choice upon this cause is hard. Your judge commends me not. I said before that not until the township be with you allied, I'll not these offices perform, although authority I have, lest later, when the polis suffers luck, the folk should say, who honored aliens has his homeland plagued? Chorus. Lord Zeus, consanguine equally to either side a balance holds in observation, equal poise to have thereby, adjudging the deserts of just and unjust to the good and bad. When both regards are weighed, deserts are true. What then, so king, might ill befall as due? King. There needs the gravest providence, as deep as curative exactitude in care, with therapeutic perspicacity endued, not doting on distortive wine, but like a diver to attain the depth of justice, neither lesion to the state, nor loss upon ourselves provoking, all in sound conclusion salutary for each side. Thus violence, roiling in effect to review forth the prize of force, should not befall, nor should you leave these hallowed seats a sudden rendered back. We would not draw on us vindictive perseverance brought by an all-deathful spirit, surest to maintain perdition, even in the pit, who leaves not punishment when life is done, no soul releasing whom he loathes. Might you not think, therefore, we need the gravest providence? Chorus. Rightful consideration recognize, a conscientious patron godly proving. No perfidy to fugitives begin, for we, remotely bavished, have been cast unchastely out. Among immortals let us sit, not ravishment sustain before your sight. In kingship never brook that curse, at reaver hubris broad awake, warding off their anger for our sake. Your suppliants hailed from hence amid memorial images of gods you would not suffer to behold, nor let me, handled by my veil or bodily habiliments, be led away from refuge like a jade whose bridle must be jarred. Whichever option be your way, your house and children will be taxed no less than sacred law requires. This debt perpend, which heaven will assess. King. In truth I've weighed my thoughts, and what ensues perforce I see. Against one part or other strenuous war I needs must wage, coerced by winches of compulsion, which on shore hold fast a ship. In either choice may scathe be sharp. A house whose wealth is pilled away in larceny may be enriched again by Zeus, proprietary champion of Argives. And when tongues are overshot, another speech annuls the first. But if familiar blood not be effused, we must in immolation numerous gods appease, with kine abounding as a cure of bane. Truly, my sharp detraction I'll sustain, meeting this quarrel. Now in evil foresight I'd rather be inept than rightfully adept. maugre my misgivings, all may go well, and presentiments expunge. Chorus. Now many protestations I'd soon bring to fine, your grace no more petitioning. King. Hold forth, I hear you, close enough in ken. Chorus. This waistband here, and woman brace I wear to keep my dress in place. King. Indeed, to women they pertain in wear. Chorus. You'll see a good recourse to these I'll have. King. What goodly sentiment would you intone? Chorus. If to our concourse you will give no pledge. King. How might these girdles be a tool of grace? Chorus. To deck these effigies with flagrant plaques. King. Equivocal surcease assuredly express. Chorus. From girdles hung anon, from gods we'd hang. King. A scourge upon my heart to hear such cries. Chorus. Plainer enlightenment exerts your eyes. King. Wreakful and cumbrous wrenchings compass me, like rivers overswollen in my way. These woes in broadened multiples would sweep me off, a sea identified with dense perdition of impassable profundity, each way an unintelligible abyss. I venture on without a haven from arduous affliction. Now, if your requests I fail to answer, vilest my reward, far too unclean for human care or speech. And if the sibling brood akin to you, that brotherhood, Egyptian bred, afore the walls I fight, to battle finish bound, what a hard spill, on women spent, would then abroad enlarge, the land imbruing with the wounds of men. Yet by necessity, to Zeus of supplicancy sustenant, I am religious, of his wrath in awe. Above all dreads have mortals deemed him prime. But take these boughs, old father of this brood, forthwith to bear them forward in your arms. On other shrines belonging to this land's immortals these bestowals lay, that all the township may these tokens mark, which best will argue supplication come to pass. Among the folk no words indecorous allow yourself about me, for most of them to discontented carping at the head are prone. Perchance, incensed to pity, seeing the boughs, some will opprobrium open, not in hubris acquiesce, Aegyptos' sons disfavouring. More gracious, recking of your grief the ruck may grow, for all affect the weak in trouble when the strong are wild. Danaus. Of cardinal moment, here discovering, partisan compassionate to strangers, we find your care. Companionable conductors, though, now in Argos send with us, that we may find the entrance altars and infigured thrones of those immortals urban in defence here, for now with safety we'd traverse the town. By kind dissimilar our contours are, for nations are informed with nurture, and Enochian generations are unlike the Niles. Yet making bold, I fear incites the blindest apprehension, no less black than minds benighted without news, as men have murdered friends upon mistakes in ken. King. Go forth, you Argives, for the alien is well spoken. To the altars speed his way in Argos. Let each church be open, not his rights oppugning. On the road, my friends, when meeting fellows reticent be found, towards supplicable hearths of deities bound, to lead this sailor in his prayers to them. Danaus and attendants exeunt. Chorus. You have directed him, and he departs thereby. Yet what for me? How far would you address my boldness, or restrain my heart? King. These boughs, your signs of trouble, leave behind. Chorus. At your behest we hold no ritual branch. King. Come hither to this lawn outside the shrine. Chorus. Not holy is this ground, unsafe for me. King. To rapine, be it winged in arrest, we shall not yield you stauncher than their quest. Chorus. More nocent than insensate snakes are those we fear in frail exposure to their force. King. Like mine, auspicious let your language be. Chorus. No wonder, taking dread to heart, I am distraught. King. When fear's exorbitant, it fails restraint. Chorus. By works no less than words relieve my heart. King. For no long stint alone await your father, the nation hereabouts I'll summon now, and common affability evoke. Your sire I then shall tutor for his talk with them. So by this precinct stay, and cry your most desirous prayers, the region gods entreating closely. Meantime your case of safety I shall plead. Persuasion should not veer behind me on your furtherance, going as far as practicable chance. Exit the king with his attendants. Chorus. O primest, myriad princes mastering, of multifarious primacy among the gods, of loftiest blessings, than all blessed more light, seen consummately bettering all consummations, joyous Zeus. Your sight in favour turn forthright, not on your race the loathest, wanton physicality permitting in devout disgust, and cast into the dusk lake down to nullity their nautical delirium all in black. Our case partake, the woman's part, for me, your kindred, yours engendered on the girl you loved in Argos, anciently renowned in jest. Your many-parted memory affirm, by your affectuous touch of Io avowed our own. We hold in vaunt descent from Zeus, and in this land avouch our homely lineage, where long since we left. Upon my mother's ancient track, impressed on Hellas, where in leas she lee sowed, flowers browsing, I'd come back. Here on that ruminant meadow, bitten Io the gadfly bore, afflicted far, who fled in sorrow, overstunned. Upon a crossing regimen, ill-sped in travel, many kinds of mortals she traversed, and overswam in severance those course hard straits, thence to the other shore attaining. Then through Asia's sequent parts in gallop rout she ran. Mid Phrygia she overfared the ovine wondrous fields. This raking kine through Teuthras, Mysian township trod, the hollows that decline in Lydia, and the arduous downs across Cilician and Pamphylian populations far she overranged, and rivers sempitern in speed and lands of fatted affluence, where loam will never pall, she crossed. And Aphrodite's province, wheat profuse, she hourly overscurred her bane, a cowherd that could beat his wings, conducting never ceased. Before his stitch the stricken cow into the cornucopian orchard grown of Zeus retired, a field which snow had fed, where Typhon's loathing, like a leavened scourge, once seared the land, and where the tide of Nile no taint of pestilence sustains. Within this strand, from vilest travails overdone, under delirium laboured, left in dolour, Hera's lash she underwent, belaboured with demented pain. In that contemporary space, then men with passive trepidation started, all in sallow, facial awe before the sight, a feral prodigy beholding, half in human bones, a female part and bovine part together in one beast. The shocking corporality thereof incited frigid tremors in each breast. Who then at last relieved the hapless, cursed and universal vagrant Io, so long inflamed reverberations in her flesh sustaining? Zeus, by his eternal timeliness, lord of immortal temporality, no less synchronous with life than sempitern in space, with his innocuous energy and sacred breath allowed her rest. She wept, her shame commenced the shedding. She conceived, in sooth inscient by Zeus, her womb with ballast laden, not aggrieved in a reproachless son to bear the sting of birth, a child still blessed throughout the time of eons. All Gaia aloud, all Gates in laud has said, no doubt this is the procreated seed of Zeus, breeder of nature, for who else the poisonous intents of Hera might have ceased? Whoever says that Zeus reveals his work herein, and his own kind has sprung out of Epaphos, will be right. What god is more judicious in his deeds, more of my fittest prayer or faith deserving? With his hand he planted us, the procreant gardener, our kind implanting, Zeus, oldest of unseared sagaciousness, maker of means for all events, Favonian altogether in effect. His lucky providence is known, perfective, every matter prospering. By no dominion other than his own he sits, not lessened by a mightier king. Above him none abidance has enthroned, no loftier Driton threats him into awe. His work ensues, his word at once, like sudden fulminations in success, whatever his increaseful mind begets. Enter Danaus. Danaus. My children, be your hearts relieved. The citizens have sided well to find the measures bringing with their votes aligned. Chorus. Dean Senior, Domine, all hail. Your tidings are of dearest tenor. Tell us, though, what in sum they ratified. To what new course now has the city's hand agreed to point, enjoined by the majority therein? Danaus. The township never tarried in dispatch, no doubt contesting in decision. Now so well complacently this came to pass, that here my jaded heart has juvenesced. Concentred citizens I saw in choice their right hands raise, with serrate rows, aroused like bristles, Argive arms upheld the air, this judgment making, that we immigrate adjudged with freedom in this land to lead our lives, not liable to distraint, allowed inviolable frailty to the force of men, that from this country neither alien nor citizen shall carry us. But should the way to violence be in fine pursued, all landed gentry letting this befall, shall confiscation then abide, consigned to banishment for lack of grace. No less in voiceful sway and suasive vehemence the premier monarch of Pelasgian spoke for us. The vengeance mood of Zeus, he warned. Zeus, that supplicable spirit of redress, should not hereafter fatted or provoked in Argos be, who bade them fear how both from foreign and intestine folk a filth redounding doublefold to death would fall upon the city, food for any bane that feeds on trouble, leaving Argos past advice. The Argives, pressing in attention, no herald needing in their haste, in right assent, then raised their hands in judgment that it shall be so. Pelasgians, lucid at his light, persuasive turns and rounds of speech attended, taken with this spoken king, but Zeus this whole eventuation sped. Chorus. Let verbal benefactions in return for Argive boons now be rehearsed. May Zeus, the god of fugitives, with deepest countenance observe this lingual grace from aliens, conducing to fruition of their cause. Daemons of ghostly Genesis, devout advertency begin, you gods. Be nearest in regard, while libatory beads, our kin revering, we bestow. In ward abide, the blackguard Ares barring, god of insuperable screams, who crops much human produce out of alien fields, rejoiced in harvest when a myriad drops. Let him not these Pelasgian quarters pill together, all in fire, because on us they had compassion, casting votes upon our cause, aware how infelicitous a flock we are, devout beseechers bound to Zeus. No vote oppugned the woman's part, not for procacious masculinity, their common ballots laying all at heart with us. To the exacting jealousy of Zeus they turned, against which no hostilities may thrive. Invincibly perfervid in revenge, it leaves no foe. Not on his household roof a dweller would abide it, of malefic filthiness afraid, as a preponderant omen sits thereon. For consanguinity they bless, cousins revering, supplicators bred of Zeus, the sanctity, to them as kind as veneration now. Untainted altars, forsaking not, therewith they have refined appeasements to the gods. With suppliant wives our prayerful aspirations may be heard. O never hence a common bane may bring annihilation to this burg of men. Nor should division, when inhabitants eviscerate each other, draw this land through blood again. Her worthy flowerage of youth should flourish, vanquished by no hand of war, in virile efflorescence left unplucked. Let Aphrodite's crimson mate, of fulsome interfection, Ares, not deflower their physiques or be their fate. And may the altars flare in sign of veneration, laden when the elders come about. So may the city, governed by her men, in thrift abide, a dread of prime Zeus first, in nature primest as the alien's god, by ancient canon setting fortune right. This land, we pray, should sovereign watchers breed, delivered ever forth, on watch in sight of foes. And Hecatean Artemis of salutary births may watchful prove, when in recumbent birth a woman is unburdened. Now our highest prayers in sacred deprecation would withstand the shatter human shocks of ravage from this town. Those arming Ares, the engenderer of tears, the anti-god of music word, and chorus word, inciting war in screams, and brothful roaring he begets, and may the plaguey concourse of diseases dwell far from the township's many heads, and may Luceios in sincere complacence all the youth promote, and may Lord Zeus provoke the earth to right increase as crops befall, produced throughout the seasons. May their kine on pastures kept with calves abound, and from the gods may every cornucopia be obtained. And at the altars to rehearse their hymns of grace may harpers come, in forming's expertise adept to form the clearest intonation of their mouths. May those in charge securely guard the civic honor of the people, in directive prudence letting happiness proceed. And not at first should Argives harness Ares, apt for forced distress, but rightful discourse of the law allow to strangers without stressful dole. And evermore may they revere this land's terrestrial deities with this country's rites of lifted laurels bays and ritual bullocks of sacrifice, as was ancestrally maintained. The third judicial ordinance of God, august respect for lineage, is thus affirmed. Among exalted laws kept by this town as an auspicious cause, where justice of meridian admiration has primest credit in this prayerful nation. Danaus. I praise my children these judicious prayers. But now, in present standfast prove, of statist care, not flummoxed bodily to hear these news, which were unboded markedly betimes your fathers to unfold. Within the suppliant grove, upon a watcher's height, I see their ship, Egyptian signally, not lightly missed. The sail with linear rigging is distinct. Along each side defensive flanges bulge. The very prow with forward eyes sets forth upon her road, complying to the steer below the stern, too well and speedily for those she'd spite. The mariners, remarkably, with their white mantles on dark members move. The rest of this flotilla manifest is seen behind. And now the foremost winds her sail, and motive oars are manned by all as she approaches shore. Now cautiously, not clamoring, in readiest temperance you must perforce incur this advent, nor be found regardless of these gods. Without demur I will with aidant advocates and bodies of our cause return. I think ere long some couriers or commission will ascend, on the retrieval of lost wealth resolved, who'd seize and bear you hence. Befall this never, none of it betimes. No dread thereof allow yourselves. Now it were best for you, should tardy hindrances delay protective favour, to abide this grove of help, and never once forget the means of succour here at hand. Via, be courage vowed, for in good time, upon the fittest day, destined are the strictest visitations upon dishonourers who slight the gods. Chorus. Oh, trepid me! Father, the dread comes home. There stems with winged instant speed, not long reserved in refuge likely. Rounds and rings of convoluted turbulence possess me, forsooth suggesting all our multiple extent of fugitive endurance was in vain. Oh, I am quailed to death in frighted darkness. Danaus. The referendum's irreversible, in fine confirmed, secured thereby, confide in Argos. They will fight if now defied. I know this like the light I see all day. Chorus. All ravage-headed, ruin-herding are the afflictive progeny of King Aegyptus. All too vile for peace, they prove audacious, ceaseless, cruelest waging war, no less I speak than you'd avow. They have in galleys dark as gall, of starkest joint, sailed longing hither, Atrementos men in their armada bringing, multitudes on board, not failing by the force of rage. Danaus. But here with hot inurement muscled hard, a hugeous Argos horde shall be our guard. Chorus. I beg you, father, leave me not alone. A woman single is unsignalized. There is no fight in her, how long enforced. All deathful-minded their intents have been. The sharpest ropery their counsels are, insalutary stains flow from their minds. These altars they disfavour, all alike in raven emulation shedding filth. Danaus. Oh, that would prove redundant profitably, when gods and your abhorrences agree. Chorus. Of tridents not a dread. Unawed among these gods, they'd grasp us, never checked by grace. In furthest overweening fanfarons they are, with impious crowing execrably too mad for sacred cares, in carnal force. These brethren, canine pervicacity would prove in nothing consonant with Zeus. Danaus. Men say that wolves on dogs inflict defeat, and mere papyrus is no match for wheat. Chorus. Embodied with impassioned flagrancies, the wildest, bestial wonders they've become of fleshliest, impious lust. Betimes on watch abide. Danaus. No fleet might quickly be discharged by men, with anchorage unsped. First hawsers must be fixed on shore. No naval herdsman may in circumspection speed, not soon secure, when by an arduous headland, harbourless at length, they sail and see the sun retiring. To strange disquietude a callid pilot by night is carried, and no ship can be unburdened of her force until assured the moorings will not give. But how acute soever be your fright, the gods you must attend to, not forgetting whom you trust. Once Argos is apprised, and help is roused, I shall return. So old a messenger the city will not mock, who with his tongue adept and mind extant may match the young. Exit Danaos. Chorus. Oh, may judicious veneration be delivered in this land of swollen hills, where riven alternations rise and fall. What shall befall us? After oracles we sue, what consequence becomes us? Where in Apian ground a covert aperture might we unfold, escaping hence that makes humane invisibility secure? Now as a black fume, blurred in flight, near Zeus amid his clouds we'd fly, or, furthest perishing, to fade like dust, unfollowed as we die, in virgin evanescence never found again. But from this bale there's no reserve. Unsettled darkness overcomes my heart. That watcher's height where father stood portends defeat. I peak in fear, no pith in fettle, pining fast. I'd liefer in a noose be left than bear the lust of deathful masculinity, by sin inflicted first. Let death deny such flagrant defloration done by men, all nocent, odious, tenebrous to me. May Hades be my benison in rule before misrule by men. I'd find some part of heaven saved for me, some refuge of indefinite resort, a throne remote, whereon the clouds in swollen saturation are of snow discharged, or must a crag or culmen, bald, unseen beyond the sky, unwennable by goats, lone, moody, lentiform, beloved of vultures, be the witness when on some insufferable abyss I fall from thence, not brooking matrimonial blows upon my heart in execrable offence. I'd neither strive against exposure to unprayerful dogs, their morbid prey becoming, nor a feast deny to fowls of Argos in my bodily decay. Thus to die the best redounds, not wretchedness, but freedom from the trouble-loving darknesses and dreads of evil. Liefer death should come, I bid you come, my lot betimes, not the connubial couch and nocent kiss of men. How then in burrowed obscuration might I cut a path, when marriage is amiss? In shrieking respiration move the skies with prayer, divine vociferation offering, as far as suppliant litanies are fair before the gods. Much care, O Father, bring these supplications making good. Observe fulfilments of effect, releasing us from obdurate straits. Mark facts of hard constraint with no light glance in your judicious eyes. Propitious in respect, allow petitioners your love, O Zeus, in your omnipotent mundanity, the prime who can to happiness conduce. Now peremptory brethren, the male brood malign in hubris, whom Aegyptos bred, implacable concupiscence asserting, have coursed me for constraint resolved to wed. But altogether yours the beam of sides in rightful balance comes, and without you no consummations bloom for mortal men, who, wanting judgment, cannot once pursue. The herald of Egyptians is observed approaching with armed attendants. Allah! Allah! Ea! Ea! Here from the ship, here on our ground, this pirate fares. Ere that ensues, be wrought to death, you ravisher. I see ill facts befall, our woes commencement hither come, no less than rapture taking us. Ay me, Allah! Apace away! Protection if we run! The fellus-minded of insufferable intents by land and sea begins. O Lord of earth, your fortitude for us! Enter herald and attendants. Herald. Straight haste, stride hence, a whip's while out and on the ship. By your untardiest feet betake you, without a boat aboard you'll go. How now, how now? What then? All plucked, therefore, all plucked your head and pricking hard, complete decapitation with carnal freshets from your brains, or come with us. Straight haste, stride hence. Destruction pack you in the ships. Chorus. Would on the brine where tides abound, upon miscarriage riven you had lost your rivet-laboured bark along with your despotic physicality. Herald. Surcease resounding shrieks at me. This refuge quit. Now reach the ship. Those homeless, honourless and lost afar, I never will revere. Chorus. Never those kind procuring currents would I see again, no more the procreant motion of Nile beholding, where the motive blood of life vivificent remains. Here native generation I profess, ennobled anciently in Argos, land of deepest fundaments for ancestry. Herald. Anon aboard, on ships apace, hie forth to harbour, high perforce, via, avaunt, oblivious of volition, assent you or dissent you, be removed. With prejudicial virulence our hands are raised. Chorus. Alas, alas, hence founder hard, a fortune arduously far off course, extending over adverse tides, swept out with the east wind, beside the sandy tomb Sarpedon has. Herald. Go below to the gods, or mouth for grace or succour crave, from hence Egyptian ships you'll not escape. Be furthest to reverb and voice afar, more gravely bitter shall your grief become. Chorus. O Ea, O Ea, alas! Of noctuous peccants execrably you crack. O fulsome crocodile, in swollen mood, may the diluvian Nile, who scans your life, submerging circuitry precipitate her surge on pride. Herald. Via, on your fastest gait go forth, and board the shifty boat toward Egypt turned. Abidance none assay, no dread by hand to draw you hair and all, if here you'd stand. Chorus. Yallah, Father, the avail of idols is averse to me. This spider ushers us away, displacement towards the sea, and goads us on our gait. Oh, a benighted dream, such darkness in a dream. O Totototoi, O Mother all of earth, all Mother Earth, avert this horror of arrest. O Son of Earth, O Zeus of Earth. Herald. Be gods endemic, demons native deemed, I dread them not, unnurtured by their force, unfostered under them so far in years. Chorus. This biped viper is beside me raging, some sort of serpent body nips my foot. Who, holding fast, would bear me forth? O Totototoi, O Mother all of Earth, all Mother Earth, avert this horror of arrest. O Son of Earth, O Zeus of Earth. Herald. Or acquiescence in the course on board, or I will shear your raiment into shreds, a cutting dispiteously consummate. Chorus. Forlorn, forlorn, O King! Manic stupration we endure. Herald. Soon many kings, the sons Aegyptos bred, you'll see. Take heart, anarchic hazards you'll not meet. Chorus. O magistrates of Argos, minister your aid. To rapt stupration we are wrought. Herald. To drive you hence your hair I think is hailable, for not betimes you listen to behests. Enter King with retinue. King. Say, fellow, what in swink is this? By what conceit are these unkind procacities brought on this town of the Pelasgian men? Is this a female city, think you, for your force? In overbearing you'd obtrude yourself too broadly for a mere barbarian, bold among the Greeks. Your mind's perversities abound, all verities abandoning. Herald. Perversities, how so imputable? Where have I sinned or justice set aside? King. How aliens should be mannerly you know not. Herald. How not? I have recovered what I lost. King. To what patron of your soil was this proposed? Herald. To Hermes the inquirer. Highest known of patrons was our search proposed. King. A very patron, verily profaned, whom you regard not, never gods revering. Herald. About the Nile abide the gods I serve. King. And those abiding here you set at naught, no less than profanation I infer. Herald. If none bereave me, I shall bear them hence. King. Ere long lament if you lay hands on them. Herald. I hear no kindliness for aliens. King. To those despoiling gods I am unkind. Herald. To the Egyptus brood I'll speak of this. King. Thereof incurious, quietude I'll have. Herald. With knowledge measurably plain I'd speak, and learning more, I might be clear, in all particulars exact, as would become a herald to his king. What shall I say? Who draws this string of women from my hands? The very cousins of my chiefs. Men say that Ares takes no witness in his court, for matters of dispute, nor by receipt of silver he resolves a case. Before he does shall many physicalities of men fall down, and from this life be kicked away. King. Why now my name pronounce? Your fellowship and you will seasonably be assured thereof. As for these suppliants, if disposed for your decision readily, they then are taken, by devout persuasion moved. Thereon the motion is unanimous in Argos, voted by the town, that not upon constraint this soft assembly will be stricken hence. This rivet is affixed to Argos, bolted home, held fast abiding. On no inscriptive monument this stands, nor in a book enfolded with a seal. Liberal vociferation from my lips plainly delivers this, as you have heard. And now, forthwith, in furthest haste, vacate yourselves. Herald. New wars, it seems, will soon be waged. Therein to men pertaining subjugation is the state that favors us in forcing you. King. Men, be assured, a sudden you shall find, herein inhabiters, not known for beer. Exit herald and followers. With earnest courage enter Argos hence, together with your maids accompanied. Our town, enclosed with towers, confined in taut defences, welcomes you. The many bowers and Argive quarters should commodious prove. No petty stead I have myself, where you among numerous may the appointed edifice partake. Or you may dwell apart, divisibly alone, if that becomes you better. Choose the leafest, fittest kind for you. I speak as your protector, and all citizens assert protection by their votes for you, pursued in full. There's nothing in the state of more authority whereon to wait. Chorus. In blessings may you flourish in return for blessed operation of these boons. O godly light Pelasgian, so it please you now, send hither our dear father, dearth in fortitude of providential counsels and care for us, Danaus. His precede all notions of purveyance. He will know where we should lodge, good luck abiding in a friendly place. For doubtless all about the view of aliens may revilement come, a language alien to inhabiters discrediting. Yet may the best of all with inoffensive sufferance befall. Exit the king and his retainers. The handmaids are addressed. And you, of pudent estimation, not enraging censure in the citizens, beside us in your stations be arrayed, as Lord Danaus has allotted, each in her attendance, duteous and discreet. Enter Danaus with guards. Danaus. My children, it behooves you, prayerfully with overtures of orison, to grace the Argives here with sacrifice and rites of libatory service, as if for Olympians these solemnities commenced. Assure you, saviors are these citizens. With odium Mordant, earnest in their hearts, they heard how you, their kinfolk, were assailed by cousins. Then this conduct of armed men they brought for me, that I might stand in ranked estate, and honour granted, lest with strikes of ambush overborne, abused to death, I fall in Argos, lanced, which on this land an aggravated pity would become for ever. The enjoyers of such grants, exalting gratitude, should thankful honour ever increase at heart. Append therefore this precept to the divers scripture, that I, as your sire, inscribed upon your hearts. By time's assay is truth asserted, when an unfamiliar throng would settle down. For marking immigrants, men cry and carp, in objurgation muttering, no sport more facile than to speak defiling, spite inflicting. Thus no shame on me procure, for while your age is florid, men toward flowers will turn. The leafest bloom is lightly plucked, aneath preserved, thereon are beasts voracious, and shall men forbear? How so? And pennoned mouths, and walking mouths would ravish it who scour the earth. And Aphrodite's tidings, all of lovely ripeness in her fruit are spread, and faring on the way, amid this wealth, shall not each man, as Eros wishes, mean with sensual arrows from his eyes to win this virginal delight? Let not, therefore, the ponderous toil we bore in furrowed barrence, furthering our bark upon the great expanse, be suffered in dismay, nor bringing shame on us, nor pleasure for our enemies. We are in double wise allowed to dwell. The king's or city's chambers you may choose, no charge incurring. This will come good speed. Abide in faith by my commands, and hold your virgin honor more divine than life. Chorus Leader. In what affairs may rest, munificent affordance may Olympians proffer us. And, Father, be assured our vernal honor will be virginal. Diversion, God forbid. No way we'd veer where roads are deviant, never to diverge unless vicissitudes by Zeus devised exaggerate abuse. Chorus. Strike away in flagrant exultation with blazing laurels the municipal immortals of this burg esteeming. Gods of tutelary justice, guardians here and at Erasenos, that aqueous boon, an ancient burn, defending habitation, and you, sustain with us this song, you servants chanting, now our laud upon Pelasgians re-enlarge at length, lifting their polis lyrically, no longer affluent Nile, beloved at outfall, honor with your hymns, but to those rivers, temperate races pouring, in territorial parts of Argos, as capable as procreant gods, to bring Argean children forth, all comforting the soil with alimentary streams. May Artemis immaculate her mills avow, observing our sorority. May overbearing marriage, now compelled by Cytherea, be denied. That payment to my foes I'd pay in full. Handmaids. Yet in our amicable music there's no trifling shown to Cypris, who with Hera nearest Zeus determines the ascendant animus of nature, and in devout solemnities of vows this goddess, variably doubling artifice, is held in faultless reverence. Sharing their venereal mother's vehemence, our agitated longing, Pothian goddess, and she, who never is denied, insuperable persuasion. And Harmonia has a part in Aphrodite's play, and with them all, the whispering advents of the loves partake. Yet mortal burrs, incurred with bitterness, and miseries sorest borne, and torvid militants, I see presentiently your fugitive sorority endure. For, counter to your prayers, in a Favonian voyage, fast behind you never veering have they fared. The deeds allowed by fate betide in full, of Zeus the great volition, universally bewrayed, is never wrenched or turned awry. And truly heretofore, to many women marriage came in fine, a consummation after kind. Suppliant. May Zeus, of mighty consonance with nature, ward this marriage off, myself securing from Egyptogenic men. Handmaid. That would be best, resolved by you. Suppliant. You speak with charms, and none enchant. Who'd pleasure the unpleasurable? Handmaid. How might you scan eventuality? Suppliant. How should I ascertain what Zeus pursues, a sight impenetrable to certitude? Handmaid. Not out of measure be your prayers. Suppliant. What then of limits must I learn? Handmaid. Too much adoring of the gods is naught. Chorus. Zeus, reigning by environment around the earth, avert this sore espousal, sorest in the spouse. A semblant dolour, simply, likewise you relieved, delivering Io with hands that healed, by your benign constraint to give her peace. Chorus. Predominance to women be admeasured, made commensurate by Zeus. Of arduous teen, 2/3 I am content to suffer, better than the whole, and with my prayers no less than justice would pronounce on just contentions, a divine deliverance by godly machination might ensue.